Welcome to the podcast, Chris. On the Lisa podcast, we talk about addiction. So, if you wouldn't mind just giving us a bit of a background about how you got to where you are today.
Yeah. So, thanks for having us on initially. Really appreciate it. Yeah. So, my history is I spent 20 years addicted to drugs. I started smoking from the age of 7. We went on to starting to drink when we went into secondary school at the age of 11. And of course, we just from then on, just got introduced to smoking weed. When I left school, or nearing the time of leaving school, it was like 1988, 89 so it was the beginning of the acid house and the house music. So I was introduced to acid, LSD, speed, and of course then ecstasy pills. So then when I left school, and you're in the pub scene, then of course we're then introduced to cocaine, and I eventually ended up using crack cocaine and heroin. So I'd gone the full scale from the age of 7 right up to using heroin. So although I wasn't really serious at using heroin, crack cocaine was quite prominent in my life. Even though I was still working, I was using as a social crutch, but it completely engulfed my life. So I realised at that point I needed to get out. So I went in search of some answers. So I went to the doctors, got some tablets, but they didn't really work. I read some books. I started studying addiction. I went to help and support groups. I even tried hypnosis. But it was all really, really good, but it wasn't actually solving my problem. But what I was learning on this journey is everything kept leading me back to my mind. So what I actually done was start to question what thoughts, what emotions, what was actually driving me to do the things I was doing. And so what I'd done, I ended up opening up a dialogue. I separated myself consciously from how my mind and body were working, and I started to question everything. So whatever thoughts were coming through, go and have a cigarette, go and get some alcohol, go and get some cocaine, I started to question it. And not only did I question it, I didn't argue. I'd spent 20 years fighting with myself, regretting the actions that I'd taken. But this time around, I started to say, thank you for sending me this thought. I really appreciate this, but this isn't what I want, and I want something different. And through those self-talk techniques, I actually retrained my mind and stopped using the drugs that I was using. And I didn't stop them all at once. I thought, let's get rid of the crack and the heroin, because that's really not good. And it was being hidden from my friends and my family. I continued doing cocaine and alcohol, but again, when you get rid of one drug, the other drug becomes the problem. I got rid of cocaine, alcohol became a problem because then you become a drunk. And so, one by one, I was hanging on because we hang on to the pleasure of it, but it just always comes with the bad. So I had to make a decision. Yes, I get some sort of pleasure from doing this, but it always comes with the bad. And the bad is no money, no self-esteem, no courage, no confidence. There was a breakup in relationships. I was suffering mental illness because of the actions that I was taking. And just, as I got rid of one, my life improved, ended another one, my life improved. So one by one, using these self-talk techniques, I escaped from all of these addictions, even down to when I got rid of all these drugs, I actually realised that I had a food addiction. And that was a bit of a shock for me because, I love cakes, I love chocolate, I love, all of those things that when you eat, you get pleasure, you get endorphins, you get, those chemical releases that say this is good. But the problem was, because I understood addiction, my mind was now driving me to eat more food. I was working and all I could think about was food. I mean, literally, I was visiting 2 or 3 bakers a day. I say like 2 or 3 because once you've been in one once or twice, you feel embarrassed to go in there a third time and you're buying cakes and, people would look at you strange. So, I was actually sneaking around as an adult, eating food before I got back to my workshop. So no one knew how much I was actually consuming. And it wasn't a weight problem. it was a mental problem. And I thought, I don't want to live like this. So even though I got pleasure from the food, I had to make another decision and, use these self-talk techniques and say, I'm taking all of these addictive foods off of my, pleasure list. I'm making a conscious decision that I'm going to live a life where I just feed my body to nourish it, and I'm not eating food to get them endorphins, to get the pleasure, just like I did with the drugs. And now I don't miss any of it. I'm 10 years, over 10 years now, just not, I don't use, I don't think about it, I don't miss it. I'm actually still around people that drink and do drugs. It doesn't bother me because, I'm happy for them because I know that at that moment they're getting the pleasure, but I can't control people, but I can still be around them because I'm in a good place. I feel good about my decision, and so if I'm in a good place, they're in a good place, everyone's, doing okay. But if someone sincerely comes up and says, Chris, you don't do this, do you? How did you stop? Then, I'll teach them. But that was my story. But then 3 years ago, there was a terrible tragedy, and my twin brother, who'd been through a similar story to mine, but he never really got to the crack cocaine and heroin, but he had a real massive problem with alcohol. He spent some time in hospital, then he went into a rehab. When he came out, we went to a club reunion from back in the day. He made a decision to take some ecstasy tablets, and after abusing your body for 20 years, he took 2 or 3 tablets, and basically his body said no, and it actually the drug poisoned his body. It started to shut down his organs, and he died. And I was with him that day, and it's the most shocking. I can't even explain to you how bad it was. But from that moment on, I knew what I had to do. So I wrote a book to share my story, share my brother's story. From that book, I've opened up help and support groups. I now run London seminars. I've become an international speaker around addiction. I've spoke, to the US government. I'm just about to go to the European Union to speak. I'm going to the Houses of Commons. So I'm now a voice or to help people not only understand addiction, but teach them a very simple model of how you can retrain your mind and walk away from something that we just didn't believe we could. That really is my story up to date. So.
Yeah, that sounds like it's got some sad bits in there, but also very inspiring as well at the same time.
Yeah.
And you said that you use these tools to sort of get over your addictions. How do you define a couple of those?
Well, basically, what it is the mind is controlling us. So for everybody listening to this, there's this thing that we haven't been taught, in life. There's this model of life which says that we consciously, so us in this present moment, us making all our own decisions, us experiencing life, whether you call yourself a spirit, a soul, a conscious self, but us in this present moment, we are separate to how this mind and body work. Our mind and our body are like a vehicle, okay? They're a safety mechanism. They're there to keep us alive. But what it is, the mind is like a computer program. It's highly intelligent, but it has no common sense. And it's running a program. Now, we introduce an addictive drug into our system, just like we have hunger for food. Well, that drug is now connected to that survival mechanism, and now the mind and the body are driving us to do the thing that we are doing. Now, of course, if you try and make a conscious decision to stop eating, you can make that conscious decision, but your mind and body wouldn't let you. They would create anxiety and stress and fear, make you feel really, really awful until you ate again, because that's the way the mind and body try and teach us through emotions and feelings. Now, of course, that same mechanism is now working for the drug. So you might say, no, I'm not going to use cocaine or smoke or drink alcohol again, but your mind believes that you need it just like you need food. So it will create anxiety and stress and fear fear inside of you, make you feel really uncomfortable until you pick up the drug again. And so that's what I teach. I teach people how that you go back into the mind and you retrain it, and you retrain it by using simple self-talk techniques. You're going to open up a dialogue. You're going to see the separation between you consciously making a decision and your mind wanting something different. And I teach people how that you open up a dialogue and you retrain the mind. And that process, it can take maybe a couple of weeks, top whack, and you can literally, and then after 2 weeks, your mind then chooses something different. It doesn't ask you to pick up the drug anymore. In fact, it will support you not to do it, but there's a process that you have to do. See, I have a website, beatmyaddictions.com. On that website is a free 7-day beat addiction plan. You literally just go on, you download the plan. It is an instruction manual to help you overcome what your mind and body are doing. And as long as you follow this manual, we call it a 7-day beat addiction plan. We call it 7 days to prepare your mind to make a decision to stop. Because if you can get your mind half on your side, then after that, it will allow you to go through what we call withdrawal period. Withdrawal, as I said, it's around 10 days, but just give yourself a couple of weeks just to be using the techniques, and then after that, you will be free of whatever, whether it's a mental addiction, a physical addiction, because what you're doing is just you're reprogramming in the mind. Just like the mind is a computer program, just like this laptop that I'm on. If this was Windows 8, and it's not working brilliantly, I can program Windows 10 and it will stay like that. And it's the same with your mind. Once you reprogram it, that's how it will stay.
Yeah, okay. And I'm wondering, like, your thoughts on sort of meditation, how you see like that.
So meditation, yoga, all of these things, they are brilliant skills to, it's like mindfulness, isn't it? It's what you're doing is you're becoming conscious of how your body works. You're becoming conscious of how your mind is thinking. You have to remember, we get 50 to 70,000 thoughts a day. We're not creating them, they're being created for us. So when you go into that, mindfulness sort of arena, you're becoming in touch with that inner self, and that is the beginning. Mindfulness is being taught in schools now. It's the beginning. It isn't the solution, but it's the beginning of the understanding. So meditation, brilliant. Yoga, brilliant. Mindfulness, all of those things. But this model of life that I teach, I encourage everybody to learn it. This is why it's free. You can just go onto my, the information is free. I mean, I have a book, which is my story, my brother's story, and how I came to know this, which is on the website. But the information that people need is free. And I encourage everyone to understand it and then go on, understand, people talk about the secret, the universe. What you think about, as you speak positively, you'll get positive things back. These are all brilliant tools. But with addiction, we've got the most immediate problem in front of us. I give an instruction manual is how do you get out of that immediate problem? And then once you get out, then go on. Learn mindfulness, learn meditation, learn all of these things. I mean, when you're going through withdrawal, if you put a meditation, tape on CD, listen to it. It's going to calm you. The whole point of addiction, withdrawal, is you need to calm the mind. If you calm the mind, you calm the body. And through these techniques, it really, really helps. So.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, awesome. I mean, I find meditation, very beneficial to sort of intervene those thoughts and to understand I am not my thoughts. I just have thoughts. So rather than thinking like I'm a piece of shit or I need to go and use this drug, I think, oh, it's just a thought saying I need to use this drug, or it's just a thought of anxiety. I am not anxiety, and it allows you to sort of detach like who you are from what you think. So I find that very beneficial. But
that is what you just said there is perfect, because you are detaching yourself consciously from what this mind and body are doing. Because we are not our thoughts, we are not our feelings, they are our guide. It's our mind and body, it's this computer system trying to guide us to what it believes is the right thing. But of course, the mind doesn't understand addiction. The mind only understands a want and a need. We created the want and the need because we put the drug in. You know, we never decided for that drug to overtake our life, for it to start to destroy our life, to take all our money, destroy our relationship. You know, but even though we've got so much bad happening on the outside, the mind believes it's doing the right thing. Just like it's telling me to eat food, it's now telling me to use the drug. So if you can separate yourself from that mechanism, and just like what you said through meditation, you've got it. You've got the answer. And then what you do is your job is to build a relationship. Start to build a relationship up with your mind. Say, thank you. I really appreciate you sending me this, but we're not going to do this anymore. And this is the reason why. And when you start to speak emotionally to yourself, your mind has to listen. You know, your mind is designed to listen to what we want. You know, just like I can pick this cup up and I can put it down. I make that decision. But it's my mind that allows me to do it. It's my mind that instructs all of my muscles, all of my ligaments, everything to move concurrently so I can pick up that cup. You know, I can't consciously think on that level. Everything's being done by the mind. If you want change, we have to go to the mind. And you know, and this process is so successful, not just for people with you know, smoking or drinking, but people that use, you know, crack cocaine, heroin. You know, it's not even just that, because once you get over addiction, you know, we've got people that are suffering with anxiety, stress, fear, depression. Well, guess what that is? They're all emotions that are being created by your mind to try and tell you to do something. But, you know, we all sit with fear. We don't want to deal with it. But what, you know, if you use these techniques, you can open up a dialogue. You can ask your mind, why am I sitting like this? Why am I suffering like this? Your mind will give you an answer, you know. If I say to you, what's 2 times 2, you're going to go, well, 4. It's an easy question, right? But you have to go to your mind for the answer. We consciously don't know what 2 times 2 is, but our mind does, and it gives it to you in a nanosecond. So if you're struggling with your emotions or your feelings, just sit quietly and ask yourself your question. Why am I experiencing this? What do I need to do to fix it? You know, a lot of the time, the mind just makes stuff up. It just says, you know, it's like an over-worried mother. It's saying, don't do this, don't do that, get us this, do that. You know, and half the time it's not giving us the right information. So we do have to question. We have to question. We have to build a relationship. We need to get on with this mind, and that's when you're going to get the change. I mean, we spend so much time looking in the outside world for the answers, when all of the time it's just sitting here. You know, the answers are sitting here just waiting, and you've just got to, if you don't like it, you have to change it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's really interesting. I would, completely agree. But how would you say, or where would you say there's a place for like counselling or like healing trauma and more traditional approaches, if you like?
Yeah, so what happens, you know, people say people need counselling or trauma stuff like beforehand, you know, but I say if you have addictions, I would say to people, get rid of the addiction, make a decision, cut off the supply. When you come out of addiction, you know, after 10 days, a couple of weeks, what happens? All of your emotions and your feelings come back. It's like what we do when we're using drink and drugs, we suppress. But when you come out of addiction, all of a sudden, all of those emotions and feelings come back. So what that does, it can bring back some past emotions or past experiences that you may have suffered over the last 5 years, 10 years, maybe as a child. Okay, so when you come out of the addiction, that is the moment when you go and get a counsellor, you go and get someone that is going to help. Yeah, that's when you need the professionals, because they know how to deal with trauma. They know how to deal with abuse, whether it's mental abuse, sexual abuse. You know, for years we've been suppressing it because of the things that have happened. And we, you know, drugs have done a really good job at it, but drugs come with the side effects. Drugs come with, you know, the bad that comes with it. So we thought we were doing the right thing, but 100%. what we need to do as a society, we need to deal with our problems. We've never been taught how to deal with our problems. We've just been, as a young boy or man growing up, you can't show emotion. Don't cry, don't do this, keep your mouth shut, respect your elders, blah, blah, blah. We've been looking at our elders, our parents and that, like, just going, oh, we're just going to, but they drink, they smoke, our generation used drugs, it was already set what we was going to do, but counselling, 100%, but let counselling deal with the addiction. A counsellor technically isn't going to get you out of addiction. The only person that's going to get you out of addiction is you, because the only person that your mind listens to is you. You could listen to me for hours on end, but I'm not going to change your mind. You consciously have to go in and ask for change, and once you get that change, and then you need some, some counselling or some therapy to help you overcome some of the things that you've been suppressing all of these years, because we're not meant to suffer. We're not meant to suffer. If there's a problem, find the solution. If you start looking for the solution, you go into a positive mindset, and then you can move forward. Line up these problems and go, right, let's deal with this one. Let's deal with this one. Is there anything I can do about it? If there's nothing you can do about it, if it's like gone and there's, you can't, you put it to the side. You just say, look, thank you for sending me these thoughts, but there's nothing I can do about it. If there's action I can take, let's start doing the action. Tell me what I need to do. What do I need to do to resolve this situation? Or even if there is action and you don't want to resolve it, then you just say to yourself, thank you for sending me this thought, but we don't need to deal with this anymore. And then your mind will listen. The mind will stop sending you the thoughts, even if you've got to have a few conversations with yourself. So
it's almost like you learn the skills of the mind first, and then learn how to deal with the addiction, and sort of get rid of the addiction first, and then you're free to go and heal any wounds or anything that either opens up or like you rediscover through that process.
100%. That is the process. It's an educational process first before you even think about making a decision to stop. So you get all of the education, you then make a decision to stop. You then go through a withdrawal period, you come out the other side, and then you deal with the life problems. Because at the end of that, because you've no longer got an addiction, you're then mentally and physically strong enough to be able to deal with these problems. But whilst you've got your addictions, you're in a really bad place. You're in a very weak, not that you're weak-minded, because you have to be strong-willed to be able to cope with the enormous amount of drink or drugs or something that you're doing. You have to be strong-willed for that. But you're never in the right frame of mind to be able to deal with the problems. When you come out of addiction, then you are clear-minded. You are making the right decisions. And it's that point that you can deal with whatever's happened to you, whether you want to deal with it or not. But from that moment on, we're just not going to use drugs to suppress it. We're either going to find the solutions or we're going to put it over here to the side. But it's not going to affect the rest of our life. Our life is designed to be happy. We're going to start to look for the things that are going to make us happy. And the thing is, if you retrain your mind, guess what? Your mind, those 50 to 70,000 thoughts are not guiding you to the next pub or the next drug dealer. They're now looking for the good people and the good places that are going to bring you the happiness and you the joy. And you don't even have to do anything, because you retrained the mind. The mind is now doing it for you. And that's, that's the really special part of this process. So
okay, it sounds really interesting. And how long would you say it takes to sort of like reprogram the mind, as you say?
So around, from following the program, it's around, 10 days. But after 10 days, even though you've got rid of the craving, because you've learned this self-talk technique, you will use these self-talk techniques for the rest of your life. Because every time you think something bad or feel a bad emotion, well, guess what? You're going to ask for change. You're going to go, right, so why am I feeling like this? Let's find something different. You're always, every single one of us is self-talking, but we do it in an indirect way. Now there's a direct contact with your mind. Well, you're never going to forget about that. You're always going to use it to improve every part of your life. So it's, you'll use these techniques forever. But as I say, withdrawal, 10 days. Give yourself a couple of weeks, just say for a couple of weeks I'm going to use these techniques. You watch how quickly things change. It's like, it's really, really amazing. And a lot of people say it's just impossible. It takes months or years to overcome addictions, and that's even if you can overcome addictions. But the people that say that are using willpower. They're using willpower techniques, which goes like, I'm not going to do it, I'm not going to do it. They're consciously making a decision, but because they've not opened up a dialogue and gone into the mind and tried to change the mind, they become fearful. They're trying to fight with something they can't win. The drug is connected to these survival mechanisms. It's just like you trying to say, I'm not going to eat, I'm not going to eat, I'm not going to eat. You may be able to do it, but you're going to feel miserable. I'm not here to feel miserable. I'm here to retrain and feel good. If I don't feel good, if I never found this process, I would have still been using drink and drugs, because I'm not going to live the rest of my life in a miserable state. At least using drink and drugs, I've got something from it. I might have a lot shorter life, but I found a way out, and that's why I'm now doing what I'm doing. There is a way that you can get out and live a perfectly happy life, and that's what I teach.
Yeah, and how would you feel like, or how do you feel like there's a place for, like, labels, if you like? Sometimes in AA meetings, whether you sit there and you go, like, I'm an alcoholic and my name's John or whatever.
So AA, CA, all of those it's the best organisation in the world. Okay, anyone that is following the 12 steps and that, they're in a safe environment. You can go to 3 or 4 meetings every single week. You can get off any plane in the world and find an AA meeting. So the organisation is itself is a brilliant help and support place. But I don't do labels. So if someone stands up every single week and says, my name's Chris, I'm an alcoholic. Okay, what I'm doing is sending a message back to my mind to say I'm still an alcoholic. And so what my mind does is send me back more thoughts, more, feelings of I'm still an alcoholic. So there's still a want and a need inside me. So I don't do that. I teach something different. I teach, there's too many labels. I mean, if you consider, if we go mental health, I mean, you've got people that are ADHD, ADD, split personality, borderline personality, bipolar, all of these mental health conditions. But do you know that there's not one medical test, like where they can take blood or scan you, that actually proves that you've got any of these conditions? Yeah. The way that they diagnose people is they give you a list of questions, and if you answer high enough, then you get you are a borderline personality disorder, you've got bipolar, So there's no medical proof. All it is somebody is not in a really good place at that moment. If you could teach these people some self-talk techniques, and run through a program with them, after a few weeks, they could go back and answer them questions. They wouldn't be bipolar anymore. See, it's the way that we think, it's the way that we speak. All labels do is make people, a victim. If I'm now an alcoholic, then that's it. I'm that's me labelled for the rest of my life. I'm an alcoholic. I can't drink, But I always ask the question, at what point does somebody become an alcoholic? If I'm a smoker, if I'm smoking cigarettes, I started smoking with 1, 2, 3, 4. At 4 cigarettes a day, am I a smokeaholic? At 20 cigarettes a day, am I a smokeaholic? At 40 cigarettes a day, am I a smokeaholic? At what point do I become a smokeaholic? What I teach is that at the very moment you put an addictive drug into your system, you become addicted to that drug. It just takes time to be able to consume more of it. But the want and the need is created from when you put the drug in. And so once it connects to the survival mechanism, a want and a need is created. So whether you're smoking 1 a day, 2 a day, 5 a day, 100 a day, you've all got the same addiction. It's the mind and the body, craving it. What we need to be doing is looking for the solution. How can we stop the mind and the body craving? And, through using self-talk techniques, you can. So, and I say to people, people from AA and CA, they come to my group, they take my model, and then they go back into AA. So they keep the support, they keep, the camaraderie, the companionship, all of that going, but they're now using self-taught techniques to go along with the 12 steps. So I'm a supporter of every single, recovery program, whether it's CBT, whether it's hypnosis, whether it's AA, whether it's counselling, because we're all going for the same goal. Our goal is to stop people from using. And so we should all stand together, and help each other, because I don't even pretend that mine's, this is the all and end all of addiction. Addiction is a very complex thing. It's like homelessness. You can take a homeless man and put a roof over his head, but it doesn't sort out his mental health problems. It doesn't sort out his money problems. It doesn't, life is really complex, but we're all one part of a bigger picture. So we must do whatever we can. We use our knowledge, we use our experience to help the individual get to where they want to go to. If someone comes to see me and goes to AA and gets counselling, it's fine, because all three of us are guiding that person to their end goal. And that's a life of happiness and joy and not suffering the way that we suffered. And, and that's what I preach. That's what I tell. That's what I do.
Yeah, that sounds really amazing and a really good philosophy to have. Like you say, whatever sort of works for them, and the person's always aiming towards the same sort of goal of, like you say, happiness and happiness and fulfillment. But we are sort of coming to the end of the show now. So where can people find out more about you? I know you've got a seminar coming up soon, I believe.
Yeah, so I've got, because of this addiction thing, I've attracted a lot of people with food addictions. So people that, are overeating, got weight problems, are suffering with bulimia, anorexia. Again, we're teaching people these self-taught techniques. So, and also we've got a big problem with diabetes, or type 2 diabetes now. So basically, this is the first of its kind seminar. It's happening in London. It's Sunday, the 17th of September. It's a full-day seminar. You'll find all the details on my website, beatmyaddictions.com, or come and find us on Eventbrite. That's where you get a ticket. The tickets are just £29 for the whole day. We're giving away recipe books. We're giving away my addiction plan. And we've got some world experts with the very latest science around refined sugars and free sugars. But other than that, I run help and support groups. You can contact me through my website. Please get in touch. Please share some stories. I run Facebook groups, so you can come and find me, Chris at beatmyaddictions.com. Chris Hill, Beat My Addictions on Facebook. Just come and find us, and we'll share some information. We'll just support anyone that ever wants to come forward.
Yeah, okay, excellent. Well, thanks very much for coming on the show.
All right, brilliant, Luke. Thank you.